All right, I'm here with Hutt, Executive Director of Speakeasy and facilitator and organizer of Indianapolis Startup Weekend, which just wrapped up today. We're happy to congratulate Fancy Pants on their victory.
Yep.
So, Denver, if you don't mind me asking, what was it about Fancy Pants this year that kind of set them apart?
I think just kind of the general way the team came together. So they were bigger than normal teams. So the fact they had 8 people and really kind of figured out each person's role and kind of how they wanted to contribute to the team. And I think they attacked a problem a lot of people have of hating to go jean shopping.
Yeah.
So I think the kind of the lowest common denominator being that.
Okay, cool. So you think that it was an 8-person team this year?
Yeah.
So that's bigger than a typical Startup Weekend team?
Yeah.
So that was an asset for them?
For them, I think it turned out to be. I think one of the things that they kind of overcame during the weekend was figuring out how to delegate, where obviously with more people it's going to be a lot more difficult.
Cool. So this is not your first Startup Weekend in Indy or elsewhere. So kind of based on your experience seeing teams over the years through the Startup Weekend experience, building and launching an idea into a business in just a couple of days, it's a lot of concentrated effort.
Yeah.
So I think that probably magnifies a lot of the opportunities and challenges that startup teams have.
Right.
So what are some themes that you've noticed that makes for a good Startup Weekend team? And kind of what can you notice, or what can you take away from this year that stands out as a great thing to take back to work during the work week?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I think with what Fancy Pants did well is kind of figuring out how each person wanted to contribute and then how they were going to do so. And right along with that, then saying, hey, you're going to be responsible for this, and then rocking that side of things. I think where maybe teams, what they can learn that maybe others can continue to learn from is the idea of setting a time limit for decisions. So when you make a decision, kind of saying, hey, we're going to talk about this for 10 minutes, we're going to look at all the facts and information, make a decision and move forward, and unless you have a really compelling reason, not to go back to that, and just kind of trust the decision you made with the people you made and the time you had. And kind of keep moving forward because it is only 54 hours. So when you are in that sensitive situation, they need to stay focused.
I like that as a rule. Unless you have a compelling reason not to change your mind, don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or compelling reason to change your mind, don't. Let's see. So is there anything that you would advise startup teams kind of outside of Startup Weekend? Anything that you've noticed this year outside of that example, or any kind of thematic things that you can say make for a great way to kind of bring an idea to life?
I think using the resources. So we have kind of mentors and coaches that kind of we as organizers bring into the weekend and make available. But we really challenge teams to think about their own networks and their own resources. When you really, take a minute and take a pause and say, hey, look, this is where we've come together, but we're all involved in all other things, and how can we use our other things as assets here? So that can be kind of teams recognizing some of us are really involved in the sports industry, so who do we know over there that can also lend their expertise to, in this case, buying pants, right? Or, what else am I involved in that I can get customer feedback from? And as you figure out your target market, and as teams kind of struggle to say, hey, we're not always our own target market, figuring out, who else do you interact with and who else is part of your day-to-day, that can be useful.